There's nothing more fun than filming a video and having to completely redo it because the audio was messed up, but let's do it. Hello and welcome to my channel. In this video, we are going to be doing my top 10 books of quarter 3, and this is take 2 for me because the audio, something was loose and half of it didn't work, and so we're going to redo it. And you might see me looking down a little bit more to make sure that the audio levels are staying where they are supposed to be. But we are going to talk through all of my my top 10 books of quarter 3, and this was an interesting quarter because I was looking back and I read plenty of good books within this quarter, but I actually only had 2 5-star reads, which I feel like is a little bit low. So we have everything from 3 to 5 in this range. If you know what I rated 5 stars, you may know some books that are coming, but we're going to talk through everything here because still some really good stuff that I read. So with that, let's jump in. Coming in at number 10, we have Duskfall by Christopher Huesberg, the first book in the Chaos Queen Quintet. This is one I'd been meaning to try for quite a while. I had several books in the series. It's a quintet, so there's 5. And this was not quite what I expected because it's got some sword and sorcery elements, but it's also doing kind of a like Jason Bourne, but fantasy thing in a really interesting way. So this is one of those books that I enjoyed it. I had some issues with it, but I really had a good time. And I do plan to continue with this series. I might just do it digitally instead of physically, instead of collecting the rest of the books. But it's one that definitely I had a good time with and plan to continue. I feel like I was on the fence, but the ending is absolutely wild and makes it so that I feel like I have no choice but to continue. I have heard too that it kind of improves as it goes along too, so I may end up enjoying it even more. But this was a fun one and deserved its spot at number 10. I do have a review for this, and I'll note pretty much everything here I probably have a review for, which I will try to remember to link in the description, so you can check those out if you want to find out more as well. But let's jump into number 9. So at number 9, we have Darien by C.F. Eggleton, or just Con Eggleton. This is the first book in the Empire of Salt, which is a trilogy. This is another one that I'm meaning to continue with, but this was recommended to me by Books with Ben Gascon, and is something that's really kind of different. And it's another one that I had some issues with the book, but at the same time, I was very intrigued. It told a good story. It moved very quickly and set up a lot. And it's another one I hear that a lot more is coming on. This one centers around the city of Darien, but there's these different people who all, in very different ways, different kinds of plot lines are all kind of coming together at the center being the city of Darien. And it just feels like we're only scratching the surface with what we're going to find out with the different bits of magic and history and lore and all kinds of really interesting stuff. So it's another one that I was kind of a little bit lower on the rating side, but still one that I enjoyed and a series that I'm planning to continue. So ended up there with number 9 on the list. Jumping then into number 8, we have Small Town Problems by Chris Ritchie. And this was a review copy that was sent to me by the author. And this was one that was very different from kind of my normal read, but one I had a lot of fun with. And it's kind of almost like a cozy, not quite that far, but it's literally an alien crash lands in a small town. And then it's the people in the small town are kind of trying to figure things out in regards to all of the different things there. It's something that just was... it was a light, fun read that I quite enjoyed and had a lot of like really great character and kind of like found family moments and that type of thing. So a really fun read, one that I think is definitely worth checking out if you're looking for something that's shorter, but got a lot of solid stuff there as well with kind of a different spin on first contact and that sort of thing. It was a good time. And then coming in at what number are we? That was 8. So 7. At number 7 is The Magic Engineer by L.E. Modesitt Jr. This is the 3rd book in the Recluse Saga, which I have been going in publication order, which my understanding is the way to go through the first time, even though that's not chronological order. And this has continued the trend of me enjoying these, not being blown away by them, but really enjoying these. And it's still a series that I will be kind of casually continuing. The Magic Engineer starts similar to the others so far, but then branches in some really different ways. You can maybe tell from the cover of that one that I had up, with really involving somebody who's actually creating these different machines, and we start to learn more about how that works with order and chaos. And so it does a lot to keep adding lore, keep adding additional things, but just the fact that we were focusing on machines and everything that way. Also, it has such a great spin on a term that is just kind of used like normal in the other books, and you don't even think about it, and it comes up here and you're like, oh geez, such a great play. But so really enjoyable, continuing. These are very world building focused books, so sometimes the plots start a little similar, or some of the characters are a little bit similar, but everything has its own unique feel, and it's just continuing to dig into this world, the lore, and that's something that for me works particularly well, because those are things that I quite like. So that's where we landed with that one. Then coming in at number 6, we have Dreamer Awake by Liam QD Hall. This was another technically review copy, although it's Liam's somebody I've known from Discord and from just BookTube and stuff for quite a long while, so I would have read it, anyway here with it. But you always get an honest review with me here too, and this was one that I enjoyed. It was just a wild ride. A very, very kind of classic style sword and sorcery with some like sci-fi and like, cyberpunk elements in there as well. It's one that kept me absolutely guessing. And, I had some issues with it early on, a couple of like nitpicky things, but it was also just a quick and incredibly engaging read, which very much deserved to get it here to this 6th spot. If you like the classic kind of, sword and sorcery, sci-fi, cyberpunk, any of that kind of stuff, or just looking for something pretty different that's just a wild action-packed ride, because this never stops moving. There's so much going on here. This is definitely a good one to check out as well. And then we're moving on here with it, and a lot of these ended up being digital ones that I don't yet have copies of, although most of these digital ones I still need to get copies of, and I'm planning on it. I haven't gotten around to it yet, but I feel it's weird that so many of the things here, it's the end and the top and the bottom are the ones that I happen to have physically. Moving on to number 5 is Seasons of Alvedon. This is by Elon March and Christopher Warman, and this was kind of a surprise one. I'd been meaning to try this for a while, and I'd had the ebook for a while, but then I think I did this for like a first chapter, and it got voted as the winner, and it was a shorter one. I did this one too, and I got through and reading, and it was 4 different kind of shorts that following the different seasons, all following different kind of things. It had some like fairy tale retelling kind of feel to it, but just also it was telling really good stories. They were really interesting, setting up a lot of interesting things about the world, but also doing a great job with the characters in such a short period of time. So another one that I quite enjoyed and I remember very fondly. I know the next book in this one's supposed to be quite different from this, but I'm still really interested to see what they have in store with it. So that's where we landed at the number 5 spot. So coming at number 4, which I debated where to put this, but we have coming in there, Victory of Eagles by Naomi Novik, and this is the 5th book in the Temeraire series. And I've been a little bit lukewarm on Temeraire. It's a series that I have enjoyed overall, but I haven't been crazy about. The only reason this one I feel like made it so high is because this is sort of the end of the arc. The first 5 books really have that arc, and so with that, it just kind of it had that little something extra because we were really kind of at the end of things. I don't think I'm going to read past this because it's my understanding the first 5 books are really like the prime, really, really good stuff, and I've been sort of mixed on them to begin with. So I don't see myself, at least not anytime soon, reading the next books that come after this. But this one though did a lot. It was probably one of my favorites since maybe the first or the I think first and third were the ones I really liked. So it's like every other one apparently was really good for me. So I did really enjoy this. It just also was, again, the books were things that they always felt like they just didn't quite make that leap to be fully like, I love this. So, but being the last book in an arc kind of made it cheat its way into the top here, I'll say here. Getting in now to the top 3, and coming in at number 3 is The Wounded Land by Stephen R. Donaldson. This is the first book in the second Thomas Covenant Chronicles. And this again, in a similar boat to a lot of what I've been saying, I really enjoyed this book. I've actually been, without meaning to, I've put off starting this second trilogy for literally years. I loved the first trilogy. I think it was fantastic. I meant to continue this. I've had copies even for a while. I had older copies before. I just never got to it. So I started this and I really liked it, but it just felt like it wasn't quite there at the level of where the last trilogy ended, which isn't fair because of the fact that, you know, the last trilogy really built up, and this one I think is too. Spoiler alert: I've read book 2, and it had that extra, so you'll probably be seeing in the list for next quarter. But just it's really doing a great job as a follow-up, also setting up new things, having the characters having changed. There's a new character here, and it's just doing a lot, and I'm very eagerly looking forward to reading the third book in this trilogy. And then probably not much of a surprise, but coming in at number 2 and number 1, I feel like they're my only 5 stars, so you kind of probably knew what you're getting. But we have The Witchwood Crown by Tad Williams. This is the first book in Last King, Lost in Ard. Also a follow-up series. This, though, did feel like it gave me everything I wanted in the first book of a follow-up. It just felt like I was immediately back in the world of Lost in Ard. The characters were familiar, yet had grown and changed, and things in the world, the situations. I just absolutely loved this. And interestingly enough, whereas Thomas Covenant improved with book 2, this one dropped a little for me with book 2, Empire of Grass, which I've also read for now, although I'm still very eagerly looking forward to and planning to this month read the rest of the series, including the final book, which I have an e-arc for. But The Witchwood Crown, just like, you can't ask for much of a better start to a follow-up series. It just did everything great. If you loved Memory Star and Thorn, you're going to love this book. Yeah, fantastic. So, with it. And then finally at number 1, we had Shadow of the Smoking Mountain, which is the third book in Hanuvar. Hanover does have planned more than 3 books, but this is the end of the arc that the first 3 books are doing, and it is just so good. This is a series, too, where the first book was just one of my favorite reads of the year when I read it last year, and book 2 I also really enjoyed, not quite as much as book 1. Book 3, though, really brought back the feel that the first one had, while also just doing all kinds of things, actually exploring more, trying out different things, and keeping it really fresh, but also just bringing this arc and a lot of different plot lines to an end in a very satisfying way. So this is a great one. If you've enjoyed the first 2, obviously you're going to want to continue this, but this really does a fantastic job wrapping up. And so even if it wouldn't have been one of a 5-star book, which it absolutely is and deserves, just that the way that it ended that arc really bumped it, and that's another reason that it jumped it up to number 1 over The Witchwood Crown as well, which was a book 1, but just phenomenal. I'm not sure what's going to be happening with the other books in the series. Potentially, if you've not heard, the author was diagnosed with terminal brain cancer. There is a GoFundMe, which I mentioned in another video, but I will link down below. It's been doing good at reaching the goal, but just, yeah, really phenomenal books by a great author. And even if we don't get other ones, this is such a great ending to the arc that it's a very satisfying conclusion. And yeah, definitely deserves that number 1. Probably going to be making an appearance on the list for the year as well, I would hazard a guess. That is it, though, for my top 10 books of quarter 3. Let me know for this last quarter what were some of your favorites. If you shared any of these or have any thoughts on the ones that I picked, always interested to hear from you in the comments. Make sure to give the video a like if you enjoyed it. Check the link in the description, as always, for the Wizardly Enclave Discord if you want to chat books, whether these books, other books, really anything at all. It's a lot of fun. We'd love to have you. Also, the Patreon if you want to support what I do. And, of course, if you enjoy my content, make sure to subscribe.